Welcome to this presentation on facilitating structured activities and promoting team learning. Here we want to talk about involving the participants in processing the activities. As you think about involving your participants, you want to have them motivated. Motivating participation in the activities you're talking about, doing, and implementing is critical. So first off, you want to explain your objectives. The objectives that you want your participants to know, what's going to happen, and why. Don't assume that they know your objectives. Make sure they do. That's your job. Sell your benefits. Sell the benefits of your training program. Tell the participant what's in it for them. Explain what the benefits will derive back on the job as a result of the activities, or for the next class, or as a result of getting this assignment done. What sort of outcome that's going to help them. What the benefit is for them. Convey enthusiasm. If you sound motivated about seeing them engaged in activity, there are a lot of times that they'll feel much more motivated as well, and they'll feed off of that, and they'll internalize some of that enthusiasm that you have. Connect the activity to previous activities. See how there's a relationship being built as you're going through your course or program. How do these things interconnect? How are these things building a whole skill set for your trainees? Share your personal feelings with the participants. Explain why you found this activity, or the one you like, or something you found that's valuable to you, and that a lot of times that will build rapport and relationships and the connection with your participants. Then express your confidence in them. Tell them that you think they're doing a great job, if they are, and with the activity, or that you believe and feel that they are now ready to take on a new challenge. So those are some really good ways of going about the list here, of helping you to motivate participation from your participants. This is a really important discussion that we'll talk about here, about keeping participants involved. Once you put them into their structured activity, or they're doing a team project, something like that, your job's not over once you've organized this and they begin working on their activities. You may find yourself redesigning an activity on the spot. If it seems too long or a bit too much for the group, or it's really not accomplishing what you thought it was. Or there's a technical glitch that you may not have thought of, and you may have to back up and slow down and try a different approach. But some other guidelines for sustaining the group energy you could think about for the groups that you put together that are working on different things in teams is to help the activity keep the activity moving. Don't slow it down by speaking slowly or endlessly recording their contributions on flip charts and constantly making them report back to you on everything. Allow them some freedom. You may want to have some checkpoints along the way, but give them opportunities to be able to keep the things moving. Challenge them. Challenge participants. There's more energy when activities create a moderate level of tension rather than it's all kind of just put together and you just do this, this, and this. Whereas emphasize the importance of how challenging an activity can be to encourage participants to really think about what they're doing. I know some of you have felt like that even in some of our courses with building a Merlot web page or doing a voice thread for the first time, something you've never done before. All these types of things are part of the learning process. It's a challenge as well if you haven't done those things before. Reinforce participants for their involvement in the activity. Show interest, and as they engage in their activity, don't stand off busy by yourself with other things. Help them. Get involved if you need to on something. Maybe they're putting together a presentation and you might have a video or a few pictures or some information that you might want to share with them that you've come across in some of your studies. Of course, show your enthusiasm, that you're really happy for them and excited about what they're learning and the importance of it and how much it's going to be critical for their future success. Asking relevant questions is the next area that will help making your facilitation of structured activities and promote team learning. Often those of us that are teachers or trainers will think that we're processing by just asking questions like, did you like it, or was it worthwhile? But really, get a good sense of what things did they struggle with. What areas did you think were really most beneficial to you? And what did you think you could have done without? Sometimes those are done just within evaluations of a course or within a training program. If you're filtering around a class, if you're in a course with a group and you're seeing them do projects, you may want to ask some of those questions. Carefully structure the first processing experiences, and that's just within a high percentage of activities. Active training programs invite these types of processing activities. Knowing this is really helpful to make your participants, the ones you're training, to process things early in the phases of your programs too. So the first time you process an activity with a group, Just a couple of simple questions, and keep the discussion time brief. And for example, you might want to present a question and then go around the group. Just a quick response, just a popcorn response, just one or two lines, or one or two words, however you want to keep it. And then later on, less discussion will be necessary, so it helps you in early phases. It's those first processing experiences of how things are going and how they are processing your training program. Observe reaction of the participants in the group during the processing phase as they're working together. Is everybody working together? Or the people that aren't working? Be aware of that. And in a lot of courses, we have individuals that, if you're in a group, you will do an assessment on each of the members of your group's participation on the projects. So that way you can kind of keep everyone accountable. You want to pay attention and be careful in that area too. Early on, if somebody's missing an email or a correspondence they didn't get, make sure that the other groups are aware of that. The member of the group, or if there's an issue, for example, with health or an emergency or family issue, somebody couldn't be involved in because of those types of reasons, you want to make sure that those messages are conveyed. And then assist the groups that are in trouble, like some of the examples we just talked about. If they're having a technical glitch, or maybe some tensions are on the team, that you might be able to help in some of those implications that will have for the group as a whole if you don't. So you want to make sure you take the lead in that and make sure that those issues are taken care of and resolved. You want to make sure you're paying attention and listening. If you're getting feedback through digital sources like email or an in-course messenger system, or if you're within a face-to-face classroom, you want to make sure that you are careful to guard your reactions and how you respond. Keep your reactions to yourself until you make sure that you've heard from everyone in the group, so you're not just taking one person's side or a couple of people against the others. Make sure that everybody gets a full 360 degrees of what's going on. And when you do these things, will really help build the group to process their activities in a more positive way. As we think about team learning, there are just a few hard and fast rules. There's just a few really. It's not a lot about composing learning teams, but any of these following things may be considered. Random assignment. For teams arbitrarily, you can do a randomizing of groups. Every other person may be in a list, for example, or alphabetically or something like that. But you don't always want to keep the groups the same. You want to mix them up. Diversity as well. For teams, by deliberately varying their backgrounds and functions in the job, or in courses, maybe in a program by gender, age, or style characteristics of its members. I know we do that in a generational issues course. It's great to mix people up by the different generations and work on projects together. So don't put a bunch of technological novices together in one group either. So a lot of times I like to put people that have been in the program a little bit, 2 or 3 courses in, to help with the new students that are starting in the programs, because we do use a lot of technology. And then all the technological geeks, the problem is if you put all the technological geeks in one group, then that's not very good either. You've got a big imbalance there. So if you're aware of different strengths in those areas, you want to split people up and make sure you have good outcomes for all your groups. So those people can all benefit from one another. There's a lot of good learning that goes on within the group, a lot of collaborative learning. Homogeneity of the groups. Form teams by assigning members with equivalent experience and knowledge. This is going to be critical for different people that are, for example, if you're doing a training program on digital teaching methods, you want to get the people that are in like nursing or some sort of field like that, or in some other area, or people that are in education together. You may want to put them together, or people that are doing technical training. The sort of homogeneous groups can work together and help each other because they're in the same area and same field and have similar backgrounds, and that can have a real positive and good experience overall for them. Then prior acquaintance and team learning. Form teams by keeping the people together that work with each other well. Previously, when they worked with one another, they've probably had a good experience and enjoyed working with one another. They probably felt comfortable with each other, and they have team skills that will transfer to the new situation. That's great for some projects, but then you also want to mix things up, especially in an online course, that they're getting experience and interaction with other people in the online course and not just one group all the time. Allowing people to work together on a previous project, if they choose, can work on other projects, that's fine too, but you do want to make sure that everybody getting opportunities to have different experiences with the different people's backgrounds in their courses. They're naturally going to be attracted to people that they do present well with. That's okay too, but that's part of how networking works and happens, and people build friendships, and so allow opportunities for that too. Then self-selection. This one is just how you're allowing participants to form their own teams. On some projects, if you allow that, that's sometimes a good thing too. It allows students to find a topic that they like, and people maybe for the first 4 or 5 topics, they might pick something that they're really interested in and respond to, and they kind of get in that group, so they're kind of forming their own homogeneous group based on a topic that may be assigned, that you may have 4 or 5 topics and 4 or 5 groups need to form around them. So you can allow for that as well. It provides more ownership too by the groups. So these are some good ideas for helping you facilitate structured activities and team learning with groups in an active training program.